Hi.
Hi. Morning.
Love you all equally, thereby holding on to every one of you right now are free, whole, complete, eternal. You're coming closer to that thing called freedom. I do everything within my power to help you get there. There's nothing more in this world that I want than you to go free. Unfortunately, I can't make you. I can't twist your arm. I can prod you, tell you it's the greatest. You'll never stop until you get there. Everything you're looking for in your every little thing in life is it with a capital I. You're going to scratch, scratch, scratch until you get there. So why not now? By the end of this super intensive, I would like to see every one of you know exactly what it is, this thing called freedom. Know what it takes to get from where you are to there, which is a very short U-turn. This infinite being, your real self with a capital S, there is nothing more intimate. Nothing. No matter how much you're loving someone out there, there's nothing more intimate than your very own self with a capital S. And you're beating and beating and beating out there, trying to get right here. It's as difficult for you to discover this infinite being that you are as it would be right now to discover your ego name. Because you are it. You always have been it. You always will be it. And on that you have no choice, thank God. But you see how ridiculous it is? Why don't you just think and have what you want? You could think of BMW, a Cadillac, a Mercedes, a Maserati, and have them all, just for the thought. How many have read the autobiography of the yogi? The reason why I suggest you read that is it brings out these points. It talks about people who have done these things, who do these things. They think Babaji in that book materialized a palace of gold studded with jewels. Use it for a specific purpose, and then let it go back into infinity, I guess you could call it. But just a mere effortless thought created that palace of gold studded with jewels. And he created it to bring up and have satisfied a very deep wish in his disciple, Lari Mahashai. And so he initiated him in that palace. And that was a wish from, I guess, many lifetimes prior to the one that he was in. But why don't you do it? Any answers? You believe you cannot. If you got rid of the belief I cannot, it's natural. It's like breathing. Where are your I cannots? They are all locked into, I'm afraid I can't, ag flap. Contains all your I cannots. Release the ag flap, and whatever you think will happen. Because you don't impose on others, you don't show so-called miracles, which are the easiest thing you ever will have done in your life when you do them. Miracles will be the easiest thing you ever will have done when you do them. Because it's a mere effortless thought. And there it is. Okay, what is this thing, freedom? What do we need to remain there? I think you need to identify exactly what it is you're doing in life, exactly what it is that'll take the blinders out to what you are now. What are you doing in life? Chasing after happiness. Anyone here that's not in accord with that? What is happiness? Well, here's your first good thing to identify with. What is happiness? Does anyone think he or she does not know what happiness is? I believe for most of you it's satisfying your desires. And you attribute the happiness to the thing that helped you satisfy that desire. Therein you're dead wrong. Therein you're kept in bondage. And the more you try to satisfy that desire, the stronger that desire comes and the more you need that. And never, ever satisfying that desire. If a desire could be satisfied, you'd have it once and that's it. So I say, stop chasing rainbows. Stop creating lacks called desire. And momentarily letting go of that agony of lack and just being yourself. Where the only happiness is, the only joy that you experience is when you're being yourself. You quiet the mind, you satisfy the desire, the mind goes quiet, and you're being. That's all there is to it. Boy, isn't that difficult. If I ask you, are you? And you say, yes, that's it. Be. But don't be a bumblebee or an agitated monkey, in the world. Just be. But discover what happiness is. Don't let go of it until you realize that every ounce of happiness you have is only when your mind goes quiet and you're being. I think that one thing there could really gets you over the hump into mostly beingness. Another thing you must identify with is, what is the ultimate state? Is it happiness? And it isn't. It's on the way to the most delectable state. Happiness, joy, all that has a certain activity in it. And as you get freer, it gets more and more intense, until it gets so intense you can't stand it. It's great for a short while. Try to let go of seeking happiness, and in place of it, seek peace, quietude, tranquility, imperturbability. When you're in a place where no one and nothing can ever disturb you again, it is such a delectable state. It's way beyond the highest joy. And that is the place of freedom. When you're in that state, all you're doing is identifying with, oh, I am. Not I am Lester, I am this body, this mind, I got this thing, I got these troubles, I got this happiness. Just only I am. Better than that. I. The ultimate state is a state of I-ness with nothing added to it, just I. Not being the body, mind, sum totaled into ego. Okay, what effort does it take you to be? How many miles do you have to drive to get to be? What do you have to do to just be? Nothing. Do you see how silly your whole lives are? Struggle, ugly, struggle. It's like a mass institution of insanity. Everyone scratching and fighting and struggling to be. And everyone is. But identify, what is this thing happiness? What am I doing? Where am I? Recognize happiness as quieting the mind. And quieting the mind is getting rid of the motivators to thinking, called feelings. It's so simple. As long as you have feelings, your mind is active 24 hours a day. On guard to survive. Every emotion is a program pro-survival. Does anyone have difficulty in seeing that every emotion is a program put in for survival? Does anyone have difficulty with that? So when you let go of all those pro-survival programs, you're not on guard, your mind goes quiet, and you say, wow, I am. always were, always will be. Omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Instead of sending up, what's that thing we sent up yesterday? The thing that, the shuttle. Can't you see everything we're trying to do in life is to cut short time, space, effort. Unconsciously, everyone is struggling to collapse time, effort. Look at all the trouble we go through to do it. And we can't do it going out there. When you let go of all these limitations, I'm a fragile body, and if I raise the temperature 10 degrees, I die. If I eat the wrong thing, I'll die. Or the air isn't just the right way, I die. Instead of that, identify with yourself. You'll discover you created the universe. I swear by God, you created the universe. From infinity to infinity, with all those huge stars, systems, and then created a black hole called your mind. But identify with what happiness is. Start taking it right from its source, just by being only. This does not spoil relationships. It can only better it. Because the more you go there, the more you discover about everyone, you are me. There's no more intimate relationship than identity. Be the other one. You can't get closer than that. Identify what happiness is. And then when you discover what happiness is, then move on to the quiet place, the imperturbable place. And I think now you should make direct motions toward the quiet place. You do not end up in a closet when you reach there. You could if you wanted to, but what happens is point of view. That's the only thing that changes. After you reach the top state, you see the world as an out projection of your mind. Just like you project things in your mind in sleep. You get yourself in a room under some blankets, and then you'll dream of a vast city. How does a city get into that room? Into your bed. Exactly the same way this world comes into your experience. You're not in this world. You pull this world in you, into your mind. Get that mind quiet. And once it's quiet, any thought you put in that mind will materialize immediately. But so long as you have ag-flap, it's a constant grinding and pushing you outward. Your attention's out there, and you're struggling to survive a carcass that does not survive. How smart can we get? We fight 50, 70, 80, 90 years to accomplish something that every one of us knows is impossible. This physical body goes. But once you see the truth, you've got no choice. You're eternal. And your point of view is that when you're ready to let go of the heavy overcoat, you'll do it with a big smile on your face, knowing that if you want it again, you can create it or 100 others like it. But you don't do it because the physical body is the greatest obstaculation that beings anywhere in the universe can have. The physical body is the densest state man can get himself into. So if you do like bodies, you'll travel around in a subtle body made of much finer substance. It's really made up of light particles, and it'll go instantly anywhere. Save your cough there. Gasoline. But I mean it when I say, now you should start doing these things. And it's mere thought. When I first went to the ranch, I left New York only because people around me were annoyed by what I was. I guess the power was too overwhelming to them or something. So I decided to park the carcass out there, isolated spot. And I was not aware of the fact that everything around me was a miracle. Because when you're there, it's like breathing. You don't notice it. When people came in, they began pointing out all the unusual things. It's funny, to satisfy them, I thought I was doing things their way. Like one time, the car I got now stopped working. I said there's two girls in the car. Well, it's the starter. It won't start. I get a screwdriver out and I fix the starter. I get back in the car. And Frances Adams burst out laughing. I said, what are you laughing at? She said, what did you need the screwdriver for? I said, to fix it. Didn't you see me? She said, yeah, you just touched it. And I thought back, I said, gee, that's right. I rode around in that car for 2 years with 2 dead cells in the battery. So almost every time I go to start it, it wouldn't start. I just let go. Everything is perfect. It start up. Until one day I was down in Phoenix with my friend Tony Sarantidis. I had to take him to the bank. I get back in the car. It's just a little sound, that was it. And there was a sign, Atlas Batteries, across the street. Something within said, do it their way. It cost me $23. Without thinking, I used to walk through trees, through barbed wire fences, standing over a rattler. Someone took off like a rocket. She was an old lady. She was in her late 70s. Never saw her move so fast. So I watched her, and she got, so what's the matter? Snake, snake, snake. I looked down, it was right between my legs. I said, okay, and I walked on. Nothing will ever touch you when you're in that state. But the point I'm bringing out is the effortlessness of living. When you reach there, the snake was there, the car was there, the dead battery, but it's meaningless. A mere effortless thought, and it's the way you would like it to be. But you don't go around 24 hours a day trying to survive a body that won't survive. Get that mind quiet. And that top state is natural. Identify what happiness is. Discover it's you being you. From there on, take all your happiness from you and keep releasing until your fears of dying just almost overwhelm you. But then you're able to handle it. Release them as fast as they come up. And you're free. It's not the final step, but it's getting very close to it. Once you release the fear of dying, you'll discover the next and last step. And you don't become an idiot, a zombie. You just become the universe. Your beingness, you see, is the total beingness of the universe. But your point of view is entirely different. This thing here is just as real to me as your night dream, dreaming this, would be real to you after you wake up. See, I woke up. My mind went quiet. Oh, now I see. So after you see the dream nature of the so-called waking state, which turns out to be a sleep state, you're just as much asleep now as you are when you're dreaming in the nighttime. Mm-hmm. But you classify it as a waking state. But when you'll get your mind quiet enough, you'll discover this, that this is a dream, creation of yours. And what happens to the body is you just let it go its way. You forget about it. You give it its just due, or even if you don't, it doesn't matter anymore. It's only a thought. Your body's only a thought. And when you do these unusual things, like out at the ranch the first time, I teleported with others. And believe me, it's just as much as a surprise to you as it is to anyone watching. Because it's not really something you do. You get yourself out of the way, and it happens. I was just walking back from a hike with two others, and I was tired, and I said, oh, there must be a better way. I said, sure, everything is perfect. When I said, one foot was up a mile and a half away from the ranch, and I said, flick, the front foot was just outside the ranch. But there's no movement. And when the surprise to me was the other two came along. And Dmitri couldn't accept these things. That was the biggest of all surprises. He just couldn't accept these things. And when Francis Adams said, Lester, we teleported, Dimitri's brain began to hurt. So I had to shout her down, you're crazy, Francis. And she shut up. Mere effortless thought. And we were a mile and a half back at the ranch. The interesting part of it is no one is really disturbed. Where we left and where we went to looked exactly alike. But the next day when I asked Francis, what made you think we teleported? There's no motion in it. Like in a lot of time you think San Francisco, it's San Francisco. Next moment you think New York, it's New York. That's the way it works. And she laughed and she said, well, I know we teleported because we collected a lot of rocks on the way up, Dimitri and I. We bypassed them all, and also I could see Quarry Hill, which is on the ranch. Through the tree, she saw one of the hills on the ranch. And those things used to happen actually without premeditation. I think if I were to say, I want this or I want that, it would never happen. You let go. You let the perfection be. You let the harmony be. Another funny thing happened on that trip. I was so spaced out in those days. And Francis and Dimitri got the lunch together, and I was to bring the water. I got a canteen just that size and about that thick, for water for 3 people on an all-day hike in the desert. I said to him, let's not drink until we get to the top. You start drinking, you want more and more water, and you get weak. We'll drink it at the top, and it's easier walking down. We each had 2 half cups, and I looked in the canteen, there was 1/8 of an inch of water at the bottom. I said, oh my gosh, what you have done, Lester. And I let go. Everything is perfect. I said, we got lots of water. You want another drink, Francis? Yeah. Dimitri, yeah. The 3 of us had 7 drinks. I kept pouring. Everyone was satisfied. I looked in, it was still 1/8 of an inch of water in it. Effortless thought. I just let go. Well, we got water. We had it. But every one of you can do that right now if you'll just chuck the I cannots. Every one of you has that power at this moment. Been driving all night? Mike? You feel tired? Feel it. I just saw you yawn. Look, what I want to say, if you feel tired, just let go of wanting to change your tiredness. You'll be revived. The energy is unlimited. When you get the ag flap out, you will not want to sleep, except if you choose to behave like others, so you join them in your sleep. But sleep is not natural. Sleep is an escape from the heaviness of the ag flap. So again, identify where you are. Here I am, operating like a robot computer called the mind. The mind works exactly like computers do. We put in the programs, and we hit the automatic button, and we forget that we hit the automatic button. And from there on, we're being run like robots by these programs that we put into our computer. And the basic programs are approval, control, security, which further down become apathy, grief, fear, and so forth. No more approval, no more wanting to control. You're free enough to tackle wanting to survive as a body. You release that, and you're free. Know what your goal is. Identify with what I am right now. You want to know your sum total thinkingness? Look around you, your daily life, that's it. There is nothing out there but the outpicturing of your mind. It's your sum total thinkingness manifesting. That's why none of us see the same thing. We see our own consciousness out there. The example I bring up for that is usually an automobile accident. 5 people looking right at it and you have 5 different reports. We think we're all seeing the same thing, but we're seeing only our sum total thinkingness. It's your picture. Take responsibility for it. Then you'll change it. The basic law in the universe is absolute harmony. And when we are not experiencing it through our computerized programs, we're interfering with it. So there you are with your computer, you've thrown it on automatic, you have 0 free will in this life. Whatever choice you make, it's made by your feelings, which are your programs. You have no free will in this world. However, you do have a choice to identify with the programs, with the computer, with the body that the computer has projected out, or to identify with your beingness. But you see what you're doing? 99.999% of the time you're identifying with the body-mind. You do have a free choice to identify with your beingness or with the ag-flat. So take responsibility for what you're projecting out there. Reduce the ag-flat and watch the reduction of the agony out there, which will encourage you to do it more so until you undo the whole thing. Everything in life is a waste of time except going free, because that's what you're struggling for. And you'll never, ever stop until you get it. So why waste time? I expect to see some of you go free soon. How much time should it take? A few months. If you'll carry out the 6 steps, you can do it in a couple of months. Without agony. The 6th step tells you. It's all joy if you make it constant. It's going from one high to a higher high to a higher high to a higher high. For a moment you'll feel the garbage come up, but that moment you release it, and you're a bit higher. The next moment a piece of garbage hits you, you're releasing, you're higher. Next moment another piece of ag-flap comes up, you release it, you're higher. So it's an experience of just going higher all the time, like when you release. If you would make it constant, you'd get that high all the time, but higher and higher and higher, until you can't stand it anymore. Then you'll step into the peace. Stop wasting time. Now, I'm not saying quit work. I'm not saying break up your relationship. Use work. Use relationship to wind it up in a couple of months. You could do it if you do it. Where are you weakest? Step number 1. Your want for freedom is less than your want for the bondages of the world, for the limitations of the world. You've got to get step number 1 in, and all the other steps will fall into line for you. When you want freedom more than you want anything else, you'll get it quickly, a month or two, because you'll carry out the rest of the steps with ease. But you're wanting things of the world more than you're wanting freedom, which is obvious by where you're at. Working for a living couldn't be more stupid once you're free. Work for a living. You're eternal. What do you mean work for a living? But if you have to, right now, stay with it, but use it all the time for releasing. You don't like working, or even if you like working, you can release that. We have to release the upper area, courageousness, acceptance, and wanting peace. The last thing you do release is wanting that ultimate state. But that happens on its own. You say, I am it. I am there. And that's it. So to sum it up, identify where you are. Your beingness, you're a mind, you're a body. Your beingness creates your mind, which creates the body and the material world. See that you've got a computer going, you threw it on automatic and it's running you. Make the decision, to hell with this being pushed around. You always get that picture of a donkey working all day long after a carrot. That carrot is the world out there. We're just as smart as that donkey is. We're after that carrot. All we need to do is stop chasing it and be. And that's it. So deprogram that computer by ridding yourself of the ag flap, the wanting of approval, the wanting to control, and finally the wanting to survive as a physical body. And it'll take as much time as you so decide. It can be in months. It should be in months. But check yourself. You don't believe you can have things just for the mere thought of it. And yet, I know a lot of you have already experienced miracles. You still don't buy it. So I'm pleading with you, stop the nonsense. Be free. By the time this course is over, know exactly what it is you need to do to go free. You get out of the having the state into the doing the state that puts you into the being the state. When this course is over, you should know exactly what it's all about. No doubts as to where you are, where you're going, and why you're not there now. Okay, I think I'll end on that. I'd like to take up where I left off last time. To try to get each one of you to identify where you're at, where you're going, what you need to do to get there. Is there anyone who feels that he or she does not understand that? What freedom is? What I am now? What there is in my way to get there? Is there anyone who does not fully understand that? Oh, good. Bye-bye. But that's great. I didn't hear you, Michael.
No, I think that if I really fully understood what freedom was, I'd probably be there.
That's true, but within your mind, you can understand that I am here, and up there is freedom, that nice, perfectly quiet place. And that the only thing that's keeping me from remaining there is the noise of my mind called thought. We all think now that we are egos. Here comes that pun, ego, e must go. And ego is the blight upon ourselves. When the ego is gone, you're abiding only in your beingness, seeing everything external as an outpicturing of a camera you set up called your mind, which you have filmed with banks and banks and banks of films called programs, the heaviest of which are emotions, feelings. The ego is a sense of separation from the one, or oneness. When we identify with our beingness, we see no otherness. Not only are you me, but every atom out there is me. Or, if I let go of the projection, I only am. And that's the greatest state possible. It's the end of the line or the beginning of the line. Understanding, as Michael pointed out, is actually being it. If you want to know what a dog is, be the dog. If you want to know what a tree is, be that tree. It's possible. If you want to know what freedom is, be your beingness. So we separated ourselves originally from the one. In order to do that, we need a mechanism called the mind. which is a screen of reflection of the multitude of parts. We set up the mind, and into the mind we program all and everything that we now experience. We have lost sight of the fact that we came from a place that was all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere present, and projected out the mind which projected out the universe, the material world. And we liked it so much and got caught up in the play of it so much we forgot our beingness and began to think that we are those films we're playing out there. We have really gone to the extreme. Got a piece of... I'm going to draw on here how the thing started and how it ends. We come out of all beingness, which when you're in it, it's just awareness only. You're aware, period. Now you've all experienced it, but you discount it. You think you must be aware of something, or someone, or some action. But when you're in beingness, you're just only aware. And because you're beyond the mind, there's no memory of the beingness, but there is a memory the moment you come into mind. You want to go back immediately, but because you've gotten involved in mind, you just can't easily get back there. So up here we create a mind which creates a body, and someday you're going to see that you created the entire physical universe, that the only place where that universe is right now is in your mind. And that's provable. If I knock your mind out, where's the universe? It's gone. Or if you go to sleep and don't dream, where's the universe? Where's your body? Where's everything? It's gone. Don't wake up, you'll never see it again. But you remain. Now the state of sleep without dream is the state of being. You're in the ultimate state when you sleep and do not dream. But you're so in the habit of thinking that which is must be the physical, the only thing you say about that wonderful state is, oh, I slept well, it was nice. But if you could get into that state of sleep, consciously, you'd remain there. Unfortunately, we cannot remain in that state. We have to come back to our programs called the world, the universe. We have to undo them. Get the banks, you know what banks in a computer are, and pull them out. Pull out all the discs, all the tapes, everything. And when all the programs, called feelings, are out, you'll just only be. And that's the ultimate state called freedom. And again, you'll never stop scratching for it and digging for it and fighting for it and living for it and dying for it. And everything you're doing is trying to get to that ultimate state. We call it happiness before we get there. It's beyond happiness. However, please get happy. Get happy 24 hours a day. See, then you're up close to the free state. And you can remain happy all the time. You're on top of the chart. And you're in a high place on that chart, which will allow you to let go of everything and just step into that quiet place, that tranquil place, which is so delicious that when you touch it once, you'll never stop until you sustain it for all time. Get the happiness, but remember, the top state is above happiness, no matter how happy you are. The top state is imperturbability. And you don't have it until you move into it and move through the world imperturbable. Regardless of energy crises, wars, hydrogen bombs, quakes, regardless of all those things, your tranquility cannot be disturbed one iota when you're there. Because you know it for what it is. It's a mentation. Everything you're doing is within your mind. Undo the mind, which means quiet it. And you're in your pristine state of beingness. The reason the mind is not quiet, as you know, is you're thinking. And the reason you're thinking is you're trying to satisfy your feelings. Every one of which was put in to automatically keep the body surviving. And you've been doing this for millions, if not hundreds of millions of years. And the programs, the automatic programs, are called AgFlap and so forth. So as we keep releasing the AgFlap, the need to stay on guard 24 hours a day to protect the body lessens. We become more at ease, quieter, more peaceful, and more loving. Because love is our basic inherent nature. When I say love, I mean the highest love there is, where you'll treat the strangest stranger better than you'll treat yourself. So all we need to do is to get the garbage up and get it out. First, at the level of approval control. You all know that every other feeling is wanting either approval or control. And when you're rid of approval or control, you're rid of everything underneath it. And when you've undone an appreciable amount of approval control, then you can really tackle the wanting to survive as a body. And when you hit it, if you just stay with it a week or two and keep it going, there'll be no more fear of dying. And you're so close to the top state that you can easily make the choice to go into it or to remain where you are in your circumstances in the world. The majority of people who reach the free state isolate or disappear. Some of them go out in a flash of light when they don't have family connections and so forth. Some of them have left the notice to their family that they've left. They just drop their physical body. And a very small percent decide to stay here and help the others discover what they discovered. They are the Buddhas, the Christs, and so forth. You will know what you want to do when you get there. Before then, it's very difficult to know what you're going to do. But know that you don't disappear. You don't lose your mind to insanity. And you do not die.